Hello, welcome to the channel. My name's CavemanAston and today I'm planning to use some of this T-track from eBay, about 10 quid, to try and make some of my video work a bit better. So that is my tripod, usually sits sort of as close as I can get it to the work. I'm hoping to make something like this so I can offset my camera on it and have it actually hang over the table when I'm doing some work so I get some slightly better shots. So like this, the tripod's about as close as I can realistically get it over the table on the mill, but if I can make something like this, I can slide the camera across with a track, funnily enough. So hopefully I'm going to mill out a block that's going to sit over here and attach to the top of the tripod, and I'm going to have to make another block that will sit at this end and attach to the camera. Hopefully both of them will be able to slide independently, so I can slide this in and out across the tripod and I can slide the camera back and forth. So let's get cracking with a couple of designs. I've got a few different ideas. I'm going to draw them out and we'll see which one looks best. Okay guys, it's been a couple of days for me since you've seen the me drawing these. I have drawn a couple more sketches, so refocus this. So this is some of my plans that I've done. Done a couple, and then on this page I've got a couple more. Trying to come up with as many ideas as possible to give me as much possible solutions. The main principle of all of them is either there's something that sits inside the T-slot, which obviously will grip on the inside so it can't pull out, with a nut that will tighten against it, or something that will be on the back face with like sides, and then something will clamp down across the front. Or the last option, which is to have some effectively little hooks that sit on the inside and that side that are separate, and as you screw a nut into it, it will expand and clamp it in place. I got the last idea from a tripod, which has got two edge bits here, and then as you screw it in and out, it clamps on like a 45-degree section in the middle there. So roll it in, squeezes nice and tight. I think for the clamp that was going to sit on the tripod and hold everything, I'm going to have it slightly bigger so it's nice and secure. Not so worried about weight because it's going to be directly over the centre, so it's not going to cause it to topple. So I've just gone for a big block like this. I'm going to mill out a slot just wide enough for this to sit like so. Going to have it sort of sit down, but sit just like a millimetre proud. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have two bolt holes either side of it, and they're going to screw down with a plate across the top, clamp it all nice and tight. Still not sure yet what I'm going to do for the camera end, but I'm going to start machining that and hopefully I'll get some ideas while I'm doing that. So let's crack on with the machining. Okay, so I've machined the slot out, and if I was a professional person doing this for a living, then I probably would have marked all of this up beforehand. But I'm not, so I've had to take it back out the vise, which means I have to re-zero everything to get it all lined up. But what I'm doing is I'm just marking up 3 points that I need to put some holes in. I'm going to drill the holes all the way through, tap the 2 side ones to M6. That's going to be used to secure the little metal bracket that's going to go over the top and clamp down. The one in the centre is going to be for a standard, I think it's a 1/4 inch by 20 threads per inch imperial thread, which is the standard for cameras and tripod mounts. So hopefully I can either find a tap or I'm going to have to buy one for that. And then what I'm doing is I'm abusing my calipers, so I'm just using the hardened edge just to mark within the Sharpie lines that I've done. And what I find is quite useful is if you measure and then half it to get the measurements that I need to draw, I'm then just tracing the lines from both sides. So a couple of these measurements I've just kind of approximately halved, but by measuring it from then and scratching it in from both sides, I can then see there is a slight gap between some of them. I can then make the indent with the centre punch in between those 2 scratch lines, so it means that I can be super accurate with it. Right, so I don't technically own any Imperial taps. However, my granddad was also an engineer, and I've got a collection of all sorts of bits and pieces in here, so I'm going to have a rummage through and see what I can find. And hopefully he'll have just the thread tap that I'm looking for to do the camera thread. That one looks about the right size, but I want to keep going just in case. What I'm going to do to check that it does fit is the plate that this typically goes through has got a thread already in there, so I'm just going to make sure this threads through cleanly. And if the threads all match up, then I can go tap the hole. So yeah, that looks like it fits just fine, so I'm going to take that and run it through the hole that's on the block that I've done. What I'm going to do is, because the block's already lined up the way it is, I'm going to go in from the top and go all the way through, and then that way, even if there is a bit of error on the input, it will straighten itself out by the time it gets to the very bottom, and because these bolts are quite short, they will go in straight from the bottom. Okay, so I've taken the file around all of the edges just to clean it up. This is the T-track, just slots in like that. I don't know if you can see on camera, but there's a slight raised lip just here. So what I'm going to do is the tripod adapter is going to sit on the bottom, so thread into the middle hole. Now I'm mounting the tripod, and I have the 2 holes here. I'm going to cut a length of this down, drill and tap, sorry, just drill clearance holes on both of those. One's going to be a hole and one's going to be a slot. So what will happen is this will be tightened up just enough. This one will then have a nice thumb turn wheel, and that will actually clamp the whole thing in place. And what it will do is when you loosen it off far enough, it's going to pop out of a little recess, allow this to rotate around, and you can just pop the whole thing out. Hopefully it will make more sense when it's all finished. This is coming together quite nicely.
So this is what I've got so far for the top bit. So I've taken the bit of metal that sits across the top here. I've drilled both holes and then slotted the second hole so it drops on there. Before I slotted it, I countersunk both of them. That way when this screw tightens down, it pinches, it won't come out the slot. You undo it just a bit, it comes out the countersink and then slides out. The only problem I was having is as it was spinning round, this metal bit's still overhanging this, so I couldn't take out. So the easiest way would have been to trim down this, but I thought I'd try cutting around this outer edge. So I've already done it. It's looking a bit manky. I'm just going to try and file it so it looks a bit nicer. Okay, so I've rounded up the top bit of this. So we've got the slot and the countersink, so it'll slot into place on here. I have just put a little washer in between these two just to space it out, just a fraction. Now so we've got our bar, and it should there just slot into place. That goes across, and then we can squeeze it tight on here. So this all works fine, and that's it. Even with just a finger tight, it clamps really nicely. So next step is I'm going to be using some probably brass, just because it's something I've not used yet, and I'll be sticking it in the lathe. Plan is to make a set of matching bolts that go through, so I haven't got the protruding bits on the end. Then I'm going to have this one, probably quite a small knurled, just so it can pinch it up tight if it needs to be. This one slightly bigger with a nice knurl, because you'll be regularly undoing it just to slide it back and forth. So we're doing that on the lathe in the next video, hopefully, or soon. Problem is I want to knurl it, and the knurls are not in stock in the place that I've ordered them from. I've been waiting absolutely ages, but they're supposed to be in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully over Christmas time at the very least I'll be able to start making that. So I've also got the bit where the camera is going to mount to, which I need to make, so there's that on the list. But otherwise, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed it, found it helpful, have any questions, please consider subscribing, ask some questions down in the comments, and like it, share it, whatever you fancy. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!